laws, in particular in war, are under siege from two sides. That is, the prevailing laws of war, the Geneva Conventions, are so old that if they were people, they would qualify for Medicare. And actually, we're trying to apply them to a 21st century technology like a Reaper drone that's being utilized against a 21st century adversary in war like an insurgent who hides out in a hospital or a school or a home because they know that's what they're not supposed to do. They're taking advantage of the laws. I remember being at Human Rights Watch and asking some of the officials there, what law would we turn to in these kind of incidents? And they got an argument in front of me, and one of them said, well, the Geneva Conventions, like we've always turned to. And the other one immediately yelled back at him, no, Geneva Convention won't work in this. What we should turn to is the Star Trek Prime Directive. It's kind of funny, but the point is this. I love Trek. I can't call Captain Kirk as an expert witness in a real court of law. That is, it may be inspirational, but we're talking about real technology right now and real legal dilemmas. And this leads to what I think is the last ripple effect that's important, the ethics side of all of this. Now, when you talk about robots and ethics, people say, oh, you mean Asimov's laws, right? Wrong. There's three problems with Asimov's three laws. The first is they're fiction. How would you program, how would you turn robot shall not harm human into a series of zeros and ones? Not that easy. The second problem is they're fiction. Asimov created them as plot devices. In all of his stories, they try and follow the laws but end up violating them. As the poster for the movie version of iRobot put it, rules were made to be broken. And then the third problem is we're deliberately violating these laws. You don't give a robotic system a 50 caliber machine gun or a Hellfire missile if not to harm humans. That's kind of the point of it. Or I don't want a system that takes orders from any human, like they would under Asimov's laws. I don't want a robot to walk up to Osama bin Laden and he can reprogram it easily enough. But most importantly is that that's a bit of a misdirection. It's not the ethics of the robots that matter. It's the ethics of the people behind the robots that matter. Think about these questions. What kind of robot should we build? What kind of software should we design? What kind of attributes should they have? What should we not? What organizations and individuals should be allowed to own and use these systems? Which ones should be prevented? What kind of training or licensing should they be required to have? Who is it ethical to take money from in research and design? Who is it not ethical to take money from? Who should own or be able to access the information that unmanned systems are always gathering about the world around them? Who should be prevented from that? All of these are, in a sense, ethical questions, but they're also legal questions, because ethics without accountability is empty. But the problem here is this. If you were a young software programmer, if you were a young roboticist, you wouldn't have a code of ethics to turn to for guidance and assistance, like you would, for example, if you were doing medical research. And the broader field has a challenge right now that it isn't pushing these kind of ethical dialogues like other cutting-edge fields are. For example, the field of genetics is pushing discussions about its impact on society. And most disappointing to me was an email that I received after a talk a lot like this. And I'd given the talk at an engineering school. And a professor chastised me in the email for, quote, troubling his students by, quote, asking them to think about the ethics of their work. So, in ending, it sounds like I've been talking about the future. But notice how every single picture you saw, every single example I gave you was not from the future. Technically, it was from the past of war. And so it sets a challenge before all of us, well before you have to worry about your Roomba sneaking up on you. It's the fact that what is unveiling itself right now looks like science fiction, feels like science fiction, but it is already part of our reality. And go back to those examples I gave you of past technologies, many of which came out of the realm of science fiction, whether it was flying machines or the atomic bomb, which H.G. Wells was the first one to conceive of, even gave the atomic bomb its name. We didn't wrestle with the implications of these science fiction-like technologies until after the fact. And so we kind of laugh at the mistakes they made back then, like having the person walk in front of the automobile with a flag and firing off a flare. Our future generation is going to laugh at us the same way. And so in ending, what I'd like to do is actually jump into the realm of science fiction for a sec. A couple of years ago, the AFI, the American Film Institute, did a survey of all the characters that had ever been in a Hollywood movie over the last century of movies. And out of all of those characters, which ones represented humanity at its best and which ones represented humanity at its worst? That is, which were the top 100 Hollywood heroes and which were the top 100 Hollywood villains? Out of every single movie ever made, only one character made it onto both lists of top 100 heroes and top 100 villains. The Terminator, a robot killing machine. And so the point here is this. It illustrates the duality of our technology. It can be used for both good and evil. But I think it also illustrates the duality of us, the people behind the technology. It's human creativity that really is what distinguishes us from all the other species. It's our human creativity that invented fire. It's our human creativity that took our species to the moon. It's creativity that built works of art and literature and architecture to show our love and appreciation for beauty. And now we're using human creativity to build this incredible technology that, if you believe both the scientists and the science fiction writers or the Battlestar Galactica fans, we may be literally creating an entirely new species. But if we're honest with ourselves, we're really doing it because we can't push past that age-old human need to fight one another. And so the ending question I leave you is this. Is it the technology or is it us that's wired for war? Thank you.